Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. In this video, we will see how a bit manipulation works, how you can use bit manipulation for your competitive coding, how this is beneficial to you, and the basic tricks and tips for using bit manipulation. So keep watching this video and I will let you understand how a bit manipulation works for us. Also, this video was actually a live session which held on like 2 months before this I'm releasing this video, and this was held on the Coding Culture YouTube channel. So you can visit the channel for normally other similar videos. But this was my session on the channel, so I'm just putting this out for you all on my channel as well, so that you can know what is bit manipulation and you can understand the basic concepts and the in-depth knowledge of bit manipulation and the ways to use it. So keep watching this video. Also make sure you just like this video and share it with your friends, and comment down any questions that you get while this bit manipulation topic, or if there is anything that you couldn't understand from this topic, so that it will be beneficial for you. I will just help you out with any questions you have. So keep watching this video.
Hey everyone, welcome back on day 2 of our webinar series. Today we are going to cover the topic bit manipulation. So, do you know bit manipulation can help you do a lot of mathematical tricks which can help you reduce the time complexity of your code? So, without any further delay, let me introduce our speaker. The speaker for today's session is Sagnik. Sagnik is a BTech CSC final year student of CIEM College. Currently, he is a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador and a member of DSC CIEM. And he has also run an educational programming tutorial channel on YouTube named Learn Overflow. So, over to you, Sagnik.
Thank you for that nice introduction, Summer. So today we'll just talk about this bit manipulation. So as a programmer, it's normal for us to work with bytes in normal data types, or say data structures. We work with different bytes, right? We work with integers of some bytes, and in some cases we need to deep digger. We need to uh, find out a much work on a much deeper level to figure out how we can solve a problem to a particular, like we solve a particular problem. So in this bit manipulation, we'll understand how this concept in programming helps you to solve this kind of situations. So let's first understand what is bit manipulation. So bit manipulation is actually a process that helps you in achieving a required result, but here you apply some logical operations on some sequence of bits. We'll understand step by step how we apply these operations and how we achieve those results. But we need to know that this bit manipulation is actually used in some low-level devices for when we're controlling this low-level device and this is used in error detections. This is used in correction algorithms like parity checking. Bit manipulation is an uh, extremely useful in parity checking. When you are working with optimization, when you are working with data compression or encryption algorithms, this bit manipulation is actually helpful for you. Moving on, we learned that it uses some logical operations. So obviously when operations are done, there is some requirement of some operators. So there are some basic operators that we use in bit manipulation. So the first one is AND. So how AND works here? So by AND, always say the bitwise AND. So bitwise AND basically gives us a true result if both the input given to it is true. So this is a binary operator, and this works in that manner. Let's see a nominal truth table. So you can see here that whenever this ultimate result is given as a 1, that the both are 1, then it gives you a 1. So it gives you a set bit in that case. As an example, if you just consider two integer numbers, say 22 and 26, and if you apply a AND operator on this, then you will figure out that this gives you the result 18. So this is a peculiar result, but you can actually use this peculiarity in various other fields. Okay, so this is how this AND works for you. Actually, if you just deep digger into this, if you just try to figure out which are the results that actually give you a even number, any idea? Like if you just you have seen just a number, digit 2 4 or 5 6, this kind of number, just looking at the binary, is it possible for you to give or tell whether this number is an even number or a odd number, right? But this is actually possible. So if you think this is not possible, just comment down your thoughts on this. I'll be happy to know. But look here, whenever you are looking at an even number, say 2. So when you have 2, you have a binary of this as 1 0. I'm just taking the 2-bit. And when you have 4, you have a binary as 1 0 0, right? Similar way, if you just look at all the even numbers, just the even number we have in the last slide here, look at this 22, 26, 18, all of this are even number. But look at this last bit. The last bit here is 0. And this should be common for all the even numbers. All the even numbers, our last bit will be 0. Even remember, there is a problem with the digit 0. Like if the number in binary, in decimal is 0, then also the last bit is 0. So that's the problem we have. But else, all the even numbers from 2 till infinity and positive even numbers, the last bit will be 0. So if we know that a last bit of an even number is 0, then can we find out can we say whether the number is even or not just using some operators? Because we cannot see that whether the last bit is 0 or not, right? So when you cannot see, let's find out with some algorithm. So we can come up with this concept that if x is our number, so x can be any decimal number from 1 till infinity, positive decimal number, and if we do an AND operation with 1 and x, if the result is 0, so this would be even. Why? Just look at go back to the truth table. If you find out that the last digit is 0 and we are doing an AND operator here, and you're finding out that this is the 1 we have, like we're doing with 1, so the last digit will be 1 in our case, so that would be 0. So if this result is achieved, or the either of these two result is achieved, then we can say that the number we have is even. And in the other case, when we are doing an AND operation with 1 and we are figuring out it's to be 1, then we can say the number is odd, right? That's the basic thing. Let's extend this concept from 1 to any odd number. If we do an AND operation with the number and any other odd number, okay? So if we do an AND operation with a number and an odd number, this would give you 0, right? So 1, we're considering it as an odd number here. So we're doing AND of this and we found it 0. So that means the number x given to us is even. Extend this, say we have a number x and we're trying to find out whether it is divisible by 2k. So 2k is by the number 2k, you can understand that 2k is an even number. So if you're trying to find out if the number x is divisible by 2k or not, then this will be done exactly when x and 2k minus 1 is 0. So when we're doing 2k minus 1, look here, we are actually trying to set it to an odd number. So we consider 2k, that means 2k is an even number, and we set it to an odd number by doing 2k minus 1, and we just attain the first statement out here, right? That's what we try to achieve. Moving on to the next bit operator is here with us, or. So what do you do with or? Or basically returns as a true if any of the input is true. All right. So look at the binary truth table here. So truth table, you can see only if you give both the input as 0, then it would give you a 0. Else, in any other case, this gives you 1. Okay. Move on to example. Again, the same example I took, the 22 and 26. Do an on or operation on this, and you figure out it gives you a peculiar result 30. You may not be thinking figuring out how 30 came. Like this happened with the beta operation on bit operator, or you just odd this. But on normal decimal, if you're just trying to do something with 22 and 26, and after ultimately finding out 30, so on normal decimals, I don't think this would be possible on a general knowledge. Next, the third one in the list of basic operators we have is XOR. So what this XOR does for us, this XOR actually gives us an 1 or a set bit when either like exactly one of the bit is 1, right? Exactly, you can see here exactly this bit is 1, so this gives you 1 here, and exactly one bit is 1, it gives you 1. So when both the bits are 1 or both the bits are 0, this gives you a 0. So that's the basic operation of OR. And if, again, we did took the example of 22 and 26, and you can see the operator gives you an result as 12, right? So you just did a XOR operation between 22 and 26 in decimal, and this gives you a decimal 12. Okay. Fourth one in the list is not. So everyone will say that not is nothing but just uh, reversing the bit, right? If we have 0, we'll just write 1. But if we have 1, we'll just write 0. So that's not. But if I wondered what happens, like what would happen to a number that when you're doing a not of that number? Say we have 29, and we try to do the not of that number, then what would happen to the number? Like, just a question. If you know, just write down in the comments. I will be happy to hear that. But let's understand what happens in the back when you are doing a not. So when you're doing not of x, so you have a number x and you were trying to do a not of that number, right? So when you do not of the number, it basically does in mathematical form. It's like minus x and minus 1. So we just do first take it a minus x and then did a minus 1. Okay, lots of technical terms. Let's understand it with some number. You have 29, so not of 29 would actually be 30, minus 30. Let's understand how. Here you can see 29. So I took a 32-bit number. I'm considering a 32-bit integer type number. So here 29, you can see the 29 representation is something like 11101. That those are the LSB to MSB, right? Rest all of the digits here in 29 is 0. So if you just do a minus 30, then look at minus 30. So what minus 30 tells us, it gives us actually all the bits is 1, and those 1 we have in 29 consecutive, so those are the zeros in minus 30. And look at the rest is actually a not operator. When a not operator is actually implied on 29, you can see minus 30 is actually the result that you get, right? And this is actually the thing that happens behind the not operators. That's not a single changing 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, but this actually changes the number in the sense that when a number, we are doing a not of that number, it gives you minus x minus 1. That is minus the number minus 1. Okay. Man, the fifth one in the list is one of the important one that we use most often, and there is actually two types of shifting we do in like there are two types of shifting that comes under the basic operators. So one is the right shift and there's the left shift. Let's talk about the right shift first. So what this right shift does for you, so this right shift is actually gives you the kth bit, right? If there is a number like x, right shift k. So this does what? This removes the k last bit from the number. So this is the number you have, and this is the k bits. So it will just remove the k last bits and give you the number, right? As an example, if you take 14 and you just try to do right shift 14, then this would say if you just try to do right shift 1, this will actually break the number. Let's understand with some other examples. Look here. If this basically works in a sense that this actually divides the number by 2k, we'll understand what's k. So k is the number of bits we're trying to shift. So in the example, we took 14 and we're trying to shift it by right shift it by 1. So that would be 7. So we're just dividing with 2 into 1. So the number of bits we're shifting is 1. So that would be 7. Let's look at other some examples. If you have 4 and we are trying to right shift it by 1, that would be 2, right? If you have 6 and you try to right shift it by 1, that would be 3. Okay. Similarly, if you have 5 and you try to right shift it by 1, that would be 2. Remember, that's not 2.5 because integer type number cannot store decimals for you. So right shift of 5 would actually give you 2. Okay. Similarly, look here. If you just right shift 16 by 4, so you are just shifting 4 bits from the last of 16 and we're just erasing those 4 bits. So this would actually be 1. So if you just look at 15, 15 is 1111 and the 16 is 10000. So if I just erasing the last 4 bits, so last 4 bits we had was 4 zeros. You erase those 4 zeros, you had 1 left, right? That is the thing we did with right shifting the operators, and that's the result we get out of it. And the last operator that we have is left shift. So this left shift is basically works in a manner. Say you have a number x and you are willing to left shift the number by a number say k. So you are shifting k bits of the number x. So this happens k extra zeros at the end of the number. So this is the number you're shifting it left, and you're adding some extra bit, some number of k bits. So this bits will be 0 for you. So that happens in left shift. This actually adds those extra bits for you. So if you just want to know about it mathematically, this actually multiplies the bit pattern with 2 to the power k. If we are shifting k bits, okay. Take an example. If we have 1 and we try to left shift it 1 bit, this would be 2. So that is basically 2 to the power 1. So this one 2 to the power 1. If we have 1 and we again trying to left shift it by 2, then this is 4 because 2 to the power 4. So this number of k bits, k is here 2. If you have 3 and we're left shifting it by 3, left shifting 1 by 3, then this is basically 8. And that's the way it works, 2 to the power 3. And the similar way, 1 left shifting 4 would result you in 16, right? 2 to the power 4. Just look at some of the applications. Yes, there comes the basic understanding how you can use this concept. Okay. So the first we'll try to find out the binary representation of the number. Okay. So we will here do it with some kind of manipulating the bits we have. But in case you remember how to convert a decimal number to binary in C++ or Java, in Python, whatever the language you know. So if you know how to convert a number from decimal to binary, comment down in your write in your comments. I'm looking at it. Okay. So we're trying to convert this from a number, a decimal number, to a binary, but we cannot do it with a large number of loops or large complexity. We need to simplify this. Let's understand. If we have a number, let's understand the background of it. Say we have a number 1 and we are left shifting the number by k bits. What does that mean? That basically means we have 1 and we are left shifting the number by k bits. Look at the binary. What would that happen? At the kth position, you will find 1 and all of the bits will be 0. Because we have only one, the binary of 1 is basically some 31 number of zeros and then a 1, right? So if we have 1 and we're left shifting it with k number of bits, that would be at the kth position, we will have 1 and all other bits to left and right will be 0. And as an example, look here, if you just right shift 1 by 2, left shift 1 by 2, this would be 100, and all the digits below before this will be 0. All the digits after this 1 that's basically 2 digits will be 0. Okay, and now let's consider you are given a number, say a number x, and we consider x as a value, say 7. So when you consider 7, so 7 is basically 111, and all the other 29 digits before that is 0, right? So 0 and then comes 111 for 7. Now look here carefully. Can we do something with this? We know left shifting concept, we know the number and the binary of the number. So look here, if we are trying to find the binary representation, just look here, if we just run a loop of this exact k, like we just keep on changing k from 31 till the last 0. So what would happen in our case from 31 to 0, and we again and again do or operation, sorry, and operation. If you do an and operation and we place this one at various other places, can you find a result? Let's understand it in bit detail. Say we have a number x and we are doing an and operation with one left shift k. So if this result is 1, when can this result be 1? This result be 1 when the number you give, its binary representation at that bit is 1, at the kth bit is 1, and like exactly when the kth bit of the number you want to find, you will find the binary representation, the number having the kth bit is 1, then only you can find the result of this operation to be 1, right? X be our number, x and 1 left shift k. Let's implement this in some kind of CPP code. So we are trying to run a loop from 31 till 0. Why? We're trying to run a loop from 31 till 0. That's basically we are checking the each bit, right? We are checking the MSB first, then we'll keep on checking each of the bits, and ultimately what we need to find, we need to go till the last element. Now what we need to do inside that, we'll check that if this x and one left shift I. So what this statement does, one left shift I is basically changing the kth position every time, like in each loop iteration it changes the kth position from 31 till 0. And we are doing an AND operation. So when this AND operation of this, if like ultimately when we this be 1, the result of this operation will be 1 only when the ith position of that like the ith bit in x is 1. So this is returning 1. So when this if 1, so that means if true. So when this if is true, then we print 1, and ultimately you can come out to the else statement and print 0. So this would actually give you the binary representation. I hope I can make you understand. Just comment in your comment down if you couldn't understand this part, and then I will just try to make you understand in a much other way possible. Okay, just comment down if you couldn't understand why this binary representation is working in this manner, right? So that's basically we are trying to do an AND operation between the number x and the left shift of that bit. Okay, now that's an implementation you found using the AND, like a combination of AND and left shift. Can I do some other things? Can we just find out? Okay, before we just keep on finding out some other things in this left shift, we look here, you actually did a much bigger job. You can use this particular if statement of this particular concept in some other places. If you need to get a particular bit, like the get bit operation that we do in a number of times in binary or bit manipulation, the get bit operation. So get bit operation is actually this helps you get the exact bit. This the formula that we're using here is actually help to get the exact bit what you have in that number, right, at the particular position. So this is implementation of say get bit 2. You can just run a loop of that get bit operation and just find the binary representation. How this is helpful? Look, this is actually an order of 31, not n. It's not varying every time. It's an order of 31, I'll say 32, right? That's the only order. You can, it's not some huge order. You can see that this is basic, right? This has a much simpler complexity. But if you just to try to do binary representation with some modulus function or some in a different way, that would definitely take a much larger loop for you to just extract the bit, right? Move on. Let me discuss about small applications of this. So the kth bit of x to 1, right? If you need to figure out the kth bit, I mean the exact kth position bit of x, and you need to change it to 1, then you can use an operation like this, say x or left shift this, right? So this formula would help you get like set the kth bit of x, the number x, to 1. So this is actually used in set bit. When you're trying to set the bit of a particular number to, or change the bit of a particular number to something else, then this this kind of formula would help you. Okay, we'll try to get some like use of these formulas in a bit later stage. But now let's understand all the formulas that we get out of bit manipulations, all this using all these operators we have. So the next application is when you try to say set the kth bit of x to 0. When you're trying to set the kth bit to 0, then you are actually doing an AND operation, but you are actually doing a NOT of that left shift. Okay, so how is this working? If I wondered, okay, if you don't know how this working, comment down in the thoughts. I will try to explain it to you. But on a normal, it's pretty simple. I guess you can understand how this shifting this kth bit works actually. So in the two-step backs, when you look here, it actually gave you a exact bit, right? So if you just change this to 1, so it would just say it's working in a different manner. Like it last time we were just placing 1 to each position and doing an AND operation, but now we'll place 0 to move 0 from each of the position and get a AND operation, right? So that's how this kth bit to 0 works for us. Okay, now we can invert the kth bit of x. So how we can do that? We actually does that with the XOR operator. So we invert the kth bit of x with the XOR operator. These are the pretty simple formulas. I guess you can just understand from here how this formulas works, because the first one was explanatory. You can I hope you understand that. And this way, this one after other, the formulas are there to just invert the kth bit. Then it says set the last one bit of x to 0. When you're trying to set the last one bit, so there are a combination of zeros and ones. So when the last one means the set, you found a set bit and the last bit, so going from LSB towards MSB, and you are getting that the first one bit, right? You need to set it to 0. So you can do that using some concept like x and x minus 1. So this is interesting. If you just dig into how this works, say x is a number, and say you have a number of 3, say 3111, right? And you are doing x and x minus 1. So x minus 1 will be 2. What will be 2? 0, 1, 0, right? If you do the AND of that number, what would this give you? 0, 1, 0 and 1, 1, 1. Sorry. So I just took a bigger number. Sorry. So 3 was 1, 1, not 1, 1, 1. Sorry, I'm bad. So 1, 1, and you were doing an AND of 1, 0. What did this result? This would result in 1, 0. So that's how the last one was. The LSB was our last one bit, and we just converted it to 0. So this way, this actually works. Also, you can just invert all the bits after the last one bit. Say you just have the last one bit, and the one bit, I mean the bit containing 1. So that's actually meant by last one bit. So if you just convert all the bits except the after the last one bit, okay, if you want to do this kind of thing, then you just need to come up with an OR operation. between the x and x minus 1. Again, take the example of 3. 3 is 1 1, and x minus 1 is 2, so 2 is 1 0. So if you do an OR operation between this, what would it happen, right? It would give you 1 and 1, right? Sorry if I'm doing it wrong. I don't think so. Okay. Next, you need to next week you can do the set all the 1 bits to 0. So whatever one you have, you will set 1 to 0. But remember, you are not doing the NOT operation here, because in NOT you actually do the you just change whatever bit you have. But here you will just change all the 1 to 0, not 0 to 1 also. Okay. So for that, it's pretty simple. You just do an x and x and of minus x. So remember, for this, except the last one bit gets the last one bit is actually excluded, else all the bits gets set to 1, all the bits with 1 bit to 0. Okay. Next we will look into some of the application of those formulas. We got those formulas. Now let's understand a few applications. So first thing we'll try to check if a given number is a power of 2. If we're just trying to uh, do this without, say, bit manipulation, then we would have done something like x mod 2 double equals 0. That was the normal check we would have done. We'll put that in a while loop, and we'll say if x mod 2, like while x mod 2 not equals to 0, and we'll do x by 2. That was the pretty simple idea to get the power of, like the power of 2. Like you were just trying to get the power of 2. Okay. So look here, that was the pretty simple idea. But what is the problem in this? If we just look into this, this works in order of log n. Yes, at times in data structure we say that in searching sorting algorithm the order of log n is actually pretty better. But can we do this in a much better way, like on a much simpler way? We're reducing our like the logarithm of n to some order of 1, right? And reducing our type complexity. Can we do that? Let's see how we can actually implement this. If we try to uh, do this, let's take a small example. I guess you can understand without looking at the formula. Look here. So what I am doing in the formula is basically I am trying to say this part x and x minus 1. I'm using this operation x and x minus 1. Let's understand how this works. Say you have 4. So what is the binary of 4? Binary of 4 is 1 0 0, right? And x minus 1 is 3. So what is the binary of 3? 0 1 1, right? And we are doing an AND operation between 3 and 4. So 1 0 0 and 0 1 1, right? So when you're doing an AND operation between 1 0 0 and 0 1 1, this would give you what? This would give you, look carefully, this would give you 0 0 0, right? So ultimately what it gave us? This gave us a 0, a decimal number 0. So 4 and 3 would give you 0. So we are doing the NOT of that. NOT of that doing means we found 1, and we just gave here a AND operation. This is not the bitwise, like the bitwise AND. Bitwise AND we use it a single AND, but this is the AND operation that we do in if statements or this kind of statements, the AND operation that we put up. So we're trying 4 and 1. So this one is a bitwise one. Now look, 4. So why we are checking for x? So we're checking for x is basically if we have a number 0. Okay. If you have 0, then can we do x minus 1? Because I just mentioned we need to work on in this kind of situation we need to work on positive numbers. So these formulas are actually valid for positive numbers. So checking for x is actually checking whether x is 0 or not. So we found 4 and we found 1. So what would that return us? So that's actually 1. So we just by putting x, we want to check if it's x is 0 or not. So that's not, so it gives you 1 and 1, right? Ultimately giving you uh, returning a result as 1. Now you just got a 1 and that's in decimal, right? So that's in decimal, you found a result 1. So that was the thing we are doing. So look, what our result was 4, and 4 actually gave us that which power of 4 we are trying to do. I'll repeat again. So this x, the first x we have here, is actually a check of x double equals 0. Okay, this will check if x is 0 or not. And the rest part, not of x and x minus 1. This will check for the power of 2 or not. This will check whether this is a x is a power of 2 or not, right? Ultimately, we found that yes. So returning in 1 means we found that this number is a power of 2. If you just want to take so another example, say you took 5 and 6, so number is 6, you are trying to check whether this number x, that is 6, is power of 2 or not. So in that case, what you will do, you will just first convert it to binary. So binary of 6 is 110, and x minus 1 is 101, right? So next thing we will do is x and x minus 1. So 110 and 101. So what would be the AND operation between this? This would return you 100 in binary, right? Now 100, do the NOT of this, what you will get? So NOT of this 100, you will get 011. So 011, and this, that was basically a check between. So 011 is not actually a 1 or 0, right? So in that case, you don't get whether this number, this actually return gives you that the number is not a power of 2. Okay, since you didn't get 0 out of here, yeah, like you should get 000 out of here for every power of 2, and after that that would result you in the not being a not of that would result you in 111, right? And that's the basic concept behind that. And doing an AND with the number, that basically the number, like checking the number itself whether the number is 0 or not. So that's the number is not 0, so this would not return 1, this would return 0, saying that the number you were trying to check is the given number is not a power of 2, right? Our number was 6, so obviously it's not a power of 2. Move on, look at the complexity here. So you are doing this whole step in a single statement, and there's no loop. You are not repeating a particular statement multiple times. In the previous case, we are running a while loop, right? Here we are just trying to run a while loop, and that gave us a order of log n. The time complexity was order of log n, but here we just done the whole thing. The whole calculation was done in a single line, and that's actually order of 1. You return in order of 1. Let's move on to another applications. In this application, say we want to count the number of 1 in the binary representation of the number. By that, what I mean, say you have a number 3. So for 3, what is the binary? 0, 1, 1. So after the calculation, this would return you 2. Why? So in the binary representation of 3, you have two ones, means you have two set bits, right? So it will return you 2 because you have two ones in the binary representation of the given number 3. Let's understand how we will do that. Here I'm directly showing you in the bit manipulation order. We are not first we are not checking the other way of doing it. Let's do it in the bit manipulation directly. We need to run say we got a number n, and then we are trying to run a while loop in the number. So what we're doing, we're trying to say n and n minus 1. Okay, again same thing we're just trying to do, n and n minus 1. So we took a number 3. So 3 is 0, 1, 1, and n minus 1 is 2. So what is 2? 0, 1, 0. Now we're doing say n and n minus 1. So what is this n and n minus 1? This would ultimately doing an AND operation on 0 1 1 and 0 1 0. This is ultimately returning what? 0 1 0, right? So that's the one we are getting in both the places. So we're just counting the number. Ultimately, whenever this AND operation gets done, and this gets stored in what? So you change the value from uh, 1, so like 0 1 1 to, you change it to 0 1 0. So in that case, you just made a counter. Next, again, n comes here. So n is now 0 1 0. You're just trying to do again an AND operation with 0 1 0 and 0 0 1. That n minus 1 is 0 0 1. So now it again do the count plus 1. So ultimately n got stored here as 0 0 0, right? The loop breaks and the counter breaks. So counter got incremented 2 times. Once when you try to do this AND operation on 3 and 2. The next one when you trying to do the AND operation on 2 and 3. Sorry, 2 and 1. So that is the 2 times the counter ran, and this returned you our result. Our result is 2. So in 3 we have in the binary representation of 3 we have 2 1, right? So that's how we just got our result. And what's the time complexity? It's order of k. So what k is here? K is the number of 1 present in the binary form of the number, right? This is actually pretty simple. This is not going on to a large number, but rather the order of k, that is the number of ones present in the binary representation. I hope you can actually understand the stuff that I am talking to. If not, please comment down your thoughts on this. That would help me understand. Help me understand what are your thoughts on this. How much you are understanding these concepts, right? Now, on this example, we are here and another example. On this example, we will check if the ith bit is set in the binary form of the given number. By set, or when you say set bit, that basically means the ith bit is 1. Okay, it's not 0. So we'll check if the ith bit, the particular position of a binary form is 1 or not, right? So that's the check we do here. Let's understand how we can do that. Again, pretty simple thing that we want to do. Okay, so if we have this ith bit, that the bit we are given to check, this I is actually the ith bit that we are checking, and we have the number n. So that's what we will one left shift n, left shift I, one left shift I will do for thing. Just few slides back we looked at one left shift I is actually making the ith bit as 1. So this actually made you ith bit 1, and when you are doing the AND operation with the number itself, this is actually return you 1 when the bit, that ith bit in the number is 1, or return you 0 when the ith bit in the number is 0. So that's the particular concept. This actually we do this kind of combinations again and again and again to just understand how this concept works. Few slides back I gave you a list of formulas, and those are the list of formulas we actually implement while working on bit manipulations. Okay, so those are the things we just keep on working while working on this, keep on using while working on this bit manipulations. And if you are a C++ user, you have some extra benefits. Okay, so if when you're using C++, you have benefits like the G++ compiler provides you some additional functions, okay, for this bit counting, and these are actually helpful. Actually saves your time. Actually saves your time in writing a big code, and also saves your time in doing a lot of stuff. You in terms of competitive coding, this actually does your job. Okay, let's understand those additional functions that G++ compiler actually provides you. So the first one is built-in CLZ. That's underscore built-in underscore CLZ. That's not single underscore at the beginning. Okay, I will show you how you actually use it, but let's understand what this built-in CLZ does. So this particular function This gives a number of zeros at the beginning of the number. Say, uh, you have a number, and how many zeros are there at the beginning of the number? So that will be returned by this built-in CLZ function. The next one we have is built-in CTZ. That's again underscore underscore built-in underscore CTZ, and the X is the number you are searching for, like you are working on. And this gives a number of zeros at the end of the number. Okay, we'll see example. I'll give you an example of all the functions. I'll just give you this 3-4 functions are there. After the function, I'll just give you an example how you these functions are actually used. The next one is built-in pop count, and you're giving the parameter as the number of steps. So what it is does the number of ones in the number. So this particular function returns you the number one. Okay, so you don't need to count the number of one with a big like a big function, writing a big function, but G++ compiler gives us this opportunity to use its inbuilt functions. That's built-in pop count, does the job of number of ones in the number. And the next one is built-in parity. This helps you in the parity checking. So the parity, even or odd, of the number of ones. Okay, so this actually works in such a manner on building in the parity of the numbers. Okay, checking the parity. So let's look at the example. Say you have a number 5328. Okay, so I took a bigger number as an example. The number here is 5328. So the binary is something like this. That's not too small. So when you do built-in CLZ, what it does, it gives you returns 19. So you just do it in same way like cout. Then you just write built-in CLZ, then slash in to just move to next line. But what it gives you 19. So what 19 is, if you just count from here, from the starting till the first one, so there are actually 19 zeros. Okay, so that's the built-in CLZ returns you. All right. Next one is built-in CTZ. So CTZ gives you the last, like at the end of the number. After this last one, we have how many zeros are there at the end is actually returned by built-in CTZ. Look, it actually give you a result like 4. If you have a C++ compiler open in your computer, just try this out. Just try this out while I am just speaking. So this should actually help you in that way. You can just understand or remember it just trying it out on a single try. That should keep your brain will remember these things. Next thing we showed was built-in pop count. So built-in pop count X, what it does, so it returns you 5. So that's the number of one. That's here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the number of one we checked. Like we printed through the built-in pop count. And this parity. Parity is checking for the even number, even or odd. So that's basically checking if the number of one is even or it's odd. So here you can see number one is 5. So the parity would return you 1, else the parity would return you 0. Okay. So those were the important functions that you should know in this bit manipulations thing. And that's all for today's session. I hope you can understand how all these things works. Okay, so that's all.
Uh, Thank you,
Yes.
Sagar. It was really an amazing session, and I believe that all our viewers get an idea about how to work on bit manipulations and different types of operations. So yeah, that's a great session. And I think all the queries are resolved by our moderator, and during the session we are also
Okay.
resolving the queries. So there is no more questions. So thank you so
Okay,
much, Agnik,
that's great.
for joining us.
Thank you for calling me too.
So
Thanks.
yeah.